Rest of the week, what's the preparation looking like? Is it just walkthroughs, getting ready for the game?
Yeah, it'll be a little bit scaled back from a physicality standpoint. As you get closer to the game, usually the pads come off and that kind of thing. But the emphasis now is how many mental reps can we get? How many reps can we get off the tape? The good thing is now, we all know the plan, so we can take the plan to the film and try to get reps as if we're playing the game, just by watching film.
How tough is it going to be playing against this? You mentioned obviously your experience coaching in the air raid office, but how difficult is it with this Mike Leach version? Because obviously he's someone who is almost a master
Yeah,
of it. So.
he is a master. He is a master, and one of the creators. Which, as you know, Evan, as a self-proclaimed football nerd, I mean, I've been a fan of Mike Leach for a long time. I studied that offense and really enjoyed listening to him talk and some clinics that he's given and things like that. And so I have a ton of respect for him. So, again, just as a fan of the game, I'm just excited to have the opportunity, to be a part of this and call some defenses, against a guy that's a coaching legend. But it's one thing to play against air raid style of plays. It's another thing to play against a guy that knows all the answers to everything you could possibly give him. So it'll be a great challenge for us. But that's where the fun is. So.
Does it help? Oh, sorry. No. Does it help? I mean, with your experience facing, some of those high-flying Big Ten offenses, does it help a little bit because of the air attack constantly, or is it just a whole different scheme?
Well, it's one thing as a coach, probably a good thing. I'm not going to be making any tackles or any PBUs or anything. They're not going to let me on the field, so which is good for the Tigers that I'm on the field. But, it'll be new for our kids, and they've done a great job studying and preparing, but Mississippi State is just so good at what they do. So we'll have to keep our feet underneath of us as we get into the game and get a feel for the speed that which they with which they run the offense. We can't mimic that with the look team. It's just they're really really good at what they do. So we'll be well prepared. But it'll be first couple plays will be hey, we got to make sure we get adjusted to the speed. So.
Matt, when you can talk about Mike Leach and his offense, but what makes Will Rogers so good in that offense? Because 3 years together now, it seems that this guy kind of pretty much has it all.
I'll tell you what, man, he's Joe Cool in the pocket, man. He doesn't panic at all. He sits in there and goes through his progressions but that's the nature of the offense. He runs the plays he runs every day. They got a 5-minute mesh period every day, and they just run mesh. And he goes 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. He does it every day, and it shows in the game. They run the climb route. They call it 95, the deep over route. He goes 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 every day. He's done it every day, for 3 years or whatever it's been, and it shows on tape. So it's kind of the same thing as Coach Leach. It's hard to rattle him. There's very little they haven't seen. So he's an outstanding player and be a great challenge for us.
Looking at the depth chart, obviously you guys were high on Cormonte coming in, but just kind of how has he progressed? And you mentioned it last week, but just how's he progressed now where he's being comfortable now, locked in as maybe a starter?
Yeah, Cormonte's got an unbelievable work ethic. So, he's worked his butt off all summer, and now we're getting to the point where, he gets to go show it. So we're really excited for him. We're really excited for our whole defensive line. Those guys have been working their butt off. Kyle Pope's done an unbelievable job developing those guys in the last few months, even just since I've been here. And so I'm excited. We're all tired of practicing now, man. Everyone, coaches, players, we're tired of hitting each other. We're ready to go run around and hit somebody else.
Hey, Coach, going into the first game, you never know you're going to get with your first game. So how do you control the emotion of the high going into the first game and being disciplined in what you need to do?
Sure, yeah.
So how do you manage it to make sure they don't get burnt out in the first quarter and get in a tailspin?
Yeah, I think a little bit of it is, particularly in the first game, it's, sometimes you got to hype guys up. In this one, we might have to find a way to keep them even keel, I think it's great to play with emotion. We can't let emotion play with us. We got to play with, if it's excitement, let it be excitement. If it's anger, that whatever it is, but we gotta make sure we channel it the right way, and help our guys out as coaches. Now the good thing is, to me, we go opening kickoff, we're gonna go hit somebody, we'll play 2 or 3 plays, it'll be fast, and then we're gonna settle in and play ball.
How tough is it kind of preparing? I know obviously you're focused on this week, but you have a challenge of a team that's going to pass it a lot this week, and obviously Navy next week. When I think about it, but just how unique is a challenge for you as a coordinator to have those 2 games kind of like back to back to kind of get excited?
Sure, yeah. Mississippi State or Navy, one or the other on your schedule is a big deal. There's a lot of preparation to get ready for them. and then you got them both, and then you got them back to back. So it's been a ton of work on both sides of that in the offseason to try to get prepared for both teams. You know, if you're trying to get ready for Mike Leach's offense in 3 or 4 days, good luck. If you're trying to get ready for Navy's triple option attack in 3 or 4 days, good luck. You know, you got to put time in, and our assistant coach, our position coaches on defense, and our support staff have done an outstanding job of continuing to show the film, and when we are able to get on the field and do some things, scheduling time to make sure we're working both Mississippi State and Navy.
With the veteran defense, does it kind of help with having guys who played last year and obviously they know Navy, so that way it isn't a lot being thrown at them quickly where they're not seeing coming?
Yeah, I think it'll help us to have some familiarity with it. So it certainly doesn't hurt.
Coach, you made the switch, obviously, when you got brought into that 4-3. A couple of, Zay has been here before, but you got a couple transfer linebackers that have played at other places. How well have Tyler and them done in preparation? Obviously, on film, you know what they did at other places.
Mm-hmm.
Are you excited as rolling them out there with your ones on Saturday that they kind of know what this is about?
I'm excited for all our guys to go play. I know that. And you referenced Tyler. We had high hopes for Tyler when he got here, and he's far exceeded them. He's an outstanding player. You mentioned the other transfer linebacker, that'll be Jeff Canton. Same. We had high hopes for Jeff coming in, and he's exceeded everyone. He works his butt off, both of them, and they've been very productive for us through camp.
What does it mean to have guys, though, that have played at other places, and even that this might be their first run out in the blue and gray, you kind of know that they're experienced?
Sure.
Big games.
It's a big deal. There is no substitute for experience. There's no substitute. So, you can try and coach through things that come up in practice film and things like that, but there's no substitution for the lights being on and it being real. Most teams grow the most from game 1 to game 2. So our message has been, let's treat every day of practice like it's game 1. And let's remove our egos and let's just focus on the things we could have done better. Let's act as if when we come in and review the film, we're coming in on Sunday after we played Mississippi State. Let's let that be our urgency to improve our mistakes.
You've been here a few months now, but when you got here, it was all leading up to Saturday and beyond. Take us through your approach as you get set to coach your first game at Memphis.
Yeah.
Just the butterflies, excitement. I know you've been doing this a long time, but for you, how big is Saturday to kind of be the defensive coordinator at Memphis?
Man, it's if I talk about it too long, I'll get emotional. It's a big deal for me. I talked to our team about what this process has meant for me, and Evan and I did a little deal a couple months ago or whatever it was, where I talked about those wrestling figures I had, and it's just something I want to do for forever. Basically since I was a little kid. So I love college football. I love football. So for me, just to be able to be a part of this thing and have an opportunity, again, to go play at Mississippi State, to be the defensive coordinator here at Memphis, it's a huge deal. It's a huge deal. So I'm very grateful for everybody that's helped me get to this point. And as you mentioned, it's so much work. It's 365 days in a year. How many do you get to go play a game? 12 sometimes at the most. It just depends on your season, but. And for us as coaches, it's years, it's decades. So it's really cool. I appreciate you asking.